So this isn't going to be the most exciting video, but it is something we all have to do at some point, and that's cleaning our Oculus Quest 2. So in this video I'm going to show you how to do it properly and efficiently. I'm going to share you a few tips and tricks along the way as well. And thankfully the Quest 2 doesn't require much when it comes to cleaning or maintenance, so it's fairly easy to do it if you know what you're doing. So I'm going to want to remove that strap first, but actually before I do that, what I might do is remove the facial interface, because it becomes a lot easier to remove the strap once the facial interface has been pulled off. So to remove the facial interface, I just run my fingers along the edge, pulling as I go, just gently doing it, and you'll hear the pop as the clips come undone. Very easy to take off, just like that. Now I'll take off the strap. So I undo the Velcro, I pull it through. Once it gets to the Velcro part, it gets a bit more trickier. In order to pull through the Velcro part, what I have to do is just wiggle it slightly gently from left to right while I'm pushing it through. So I'll show you a better angle. There we go. So I'm just wiggling it, as you can see, pushing it through, and slowly it works its way through, and eventually it will go through, and you just pull the rest of it like that and you're done. So then I just lengthen the Elite strap as far as it'll go. Now these Elite straps are delicate, so don't overdo it. And now I've got all of this space to work with when it comes to cleaning. Now I'm using antibacterial wipes that do not contain alcohol, are non-abrasive, and do not contain any strong solvents. They're also fragrance free and pH balanced, but you could use a dry cloth instead if your Quest is not particularly dirty. So I run the wipe across the plastic casing and along the strap of my Quest 2. I don't pass them along the tracking cameras. I just get a microfiber cloth, make sure it is a microfiber cloth like this one, and just quickly in circular motions clean that lens. You can use antibacterial wet wipes on the Elite strap too. Just be careful when cleaning your Elite strap. I've heard of them breaking, so take very good care when cleaning it. You can use a wipe on every part of the Elite strap, including the top cloth head strap as well. And the great thing about these wipes is they're disposable, so if one gets a bit gunky or dry, you can just get rid of it, get a new one, and you're good to go again. Now another thing about the Quest 2 is that there are lots of these gaps where it joins together, and these gaps can also get all kinds of rubbish trapped inside. So if you've got some particularly stubborn gunk, you can get some cardboard like this, make a narrow edge, and just run that narrow edge through that gap just to take any particular stubborn particles that are trapped in there. You can also use your air can. So I've got an air can here, just along the side here, so if I grab that, you can use your air can. If it's some loose dust particles, you can blow into that gap there and push them out. Now as I was cleaning, this top head strap was really annoying and getting in the way, so you might want to get the head strap and wrap it around the back of the Elite strap so that's just out the way while you clean your headset. Now we get to the most delicate part, and that's cleaning the lenses. But before I clean the lenses, I want to clean around the lenses first, and I do this because if I clean the lens first, then I might just end up re-dirtying them again once I've cleaned around the lenses, because I dislodge lots of different particles and dust, and they'll just get dirty again. I have to clean them again. So I go around the lenses first, and I use an air can to do this. Now it's important to hold the air can straight, don't tilt it. If you tilt it, it could make an aerosol come out, which you're not going to want around the lens. So keep your can upright and don't hold the trigger down for too long, as that can make the can get too cold, and that can also cause an aerosol to come out. And you don't have to use a can, you can use a machine that blows air. And if you are concerned about that aerosol or damaging the lenses in any way, you can use something like I'm using here. This is just a simple measuring cup. I pop it over the lens, and that protects the lens while I clean around it. Now it looks a bit awkward here, and that's because I'm trying to show you on camera, so it is a bit difficult, but hopefully this just shows you what I mean. Now usually inside you're just going to get dust and other particles that can be blown away with the air can, but if it is particularly dirty, then you can grab a dry cloth or another wipe, and being very careful, try not to get any on the lens. You can then wipe those dirty bits like so. So once you've cleaned around the lenses, then we get to the really delicate part, the lens themselves. But if you're using the right equipment, you shouldn't have any trouble. So when cleaning the lens, you should always use a microfiber cloth. So I'm using one here, and I'm using circular motion starting from the inside, working my way to the outside of the lens in order to clean it. Another tip is to use a lens pen. Now the lens pens I have here are meant for cameras and not for AR, VR devices. What I'll do is provide a link in the description below that will take you to the specific pen you need to use for your Oculus Quest headset. So I do not advise using any other lens pen than the one I've linked in the description below, because they're designed for different lenses. But I'm going to use this camera lens pen here just for demonstration purposes to show you what a lens pen does. On one end of the lens pen you have this specialized brush that allows you to brush away any particles or grit before you clean the lens. Then on the other end of the lens pen, if I just remove this cap, there's a specialized cleaning element, and using this cleaning element you do exactly the same thing I did with the microfiber cloth, and that's starting from the center, circular motions until you reach the outside. Now the reason I prefer the lens pen over a cloth is that firstly I find it a lot easier to control, and secondly it gives some distance between my hand and the lens. With the cloth I have to get my hand right in there, and sometimes my hand brushes against the lens and can cause smudges, but with the pen this doesn't happen. And finally I find the specialized cleaning tip to be better than the cloth at cleaning the lens. Now next we take a look at the facial interface. So this has two parts, the hard plastic part and the spongy foam part that goes in your face. Now I'm going to use masking tape to take off some of the particles on the spongy foam part of the facial interface. You can also use a lint roller as well, so that's the same thing. But I like using masking tape because firstly it's quite cheap, but also it's easier to get into those crevices on the facial interface, like the nose part, which can be a bit difficult with a lint roller. It's also not too sticky, so you're not going to end up with all this sticky residue on your facial interface, but at the same time it's sticky enough that it will take away all of that fluff and dust and particles from the foam part of your facial interface. Then I use another wipe to wipe out the hard plastic part, and I also run it across the foam part of the facial interface too. Now some people say you should soak the facial interface in like a bowl of cold detergent water, but I would advise against this, or at least doing it too often, because continually soaking the spongy interface and letting it dry out sometimes makes the spongy foam material inside brittle, and it can mean that it just deteriorates over time. If you do sweat a lot in your headset, the better option is to get a facial interface replacement like VR Cover, which has a smooth surface that you can easily just wipe down, doesn't absorb sweat, or you can get a silicone face cover or a cotton face cover, anything that's going to absorb that sweat or is easy to wipe down. Now we'll move on to the controllers, and the controllers are fairly simple. It's just another antibacterial wipe. They do have other grooves and joins just like the headset where gunk can get trapped, and gunk can accumulate in these gaps more readily than they do on the headset because your hands are continually touching them, so plenty of opportunity for gunk and other things to get trapped in those grooves. So one thing you can do is take off the battery cover and you can get inside the groove there. I also like to take out the wrist strap so it's easier to wipe the controllers without those straps getting in the way. Now you could also use something like no fragrance baby wipes, which are also very gentle, but of course you're not going to get the same antimicrobial benefit. And of course the controllers and the facial interface are two particular hotspots where bacteria are going to live. So for a more thorough clean, antimicrobial wipes could be a good option to use instead of baby wipes. Just make sure any wipes that you do use are free from alcohol or any strong solvents. Now another area that can attract gunk is the area below the thumbstick. So what I do is move the thumbstick in different directions while getting a cotton swab and just swabbing the underneath of it just to remove any gunk that gets trapped there. When it comes to the elastic strap, I tend to again use a wipe, although you can soak it in cold water and use soap to wash it and then allow it to air dry. And soaking it in cold water with a mild detergent can be particularly good if there are stubborn stains. You can also use a soft head toothbrush along with a mild detergent or even baking soda to remove particularly nasty stains. Just don't use bleach because that will weaken the strap. And finally, for any Velcro parts, again very easy, we just go to our masking tape yet again, roll it into a ball, and that will pick up any bits of fluff or particles that get stuck in the Velcro. And again, a lint roller would work just as good. So that's about it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, do remember to hit that subscribe button and notification bell for more content like this in the future, and I'll catch you next time.